Hello, 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 it's time to cover Ryoshu's second and last Teth E.G.O, and that's gonna be Blind Obsession. This Blind Obsession is a Teth low E.G.O. Kinda odd how they're both like 2 levels away from each other, Ishmael's Blind Obsession being Bob and Ryoshu's being Teth. The Blind Obsession of Ryoshu has an 18 base with a +6 roll, slash damage, and attack weight of 3. At up tie 4, I should say. At up tie 3, it has attack weight of 2, compared to the Red Eye Ryoshu's attack weight of 1. But before attack, gain 4 poise, which is decent. Turn end, gain 2 poise for every unit defeated by the skill. Pretty decent, I guess. And on hit, gain 1 charge count and 2 charge count, and on crit, gain 2 charge count. Pretty decent, I guess. Want to use charge and poise together. I'm not quite sure any identity fits this build, other than maybe Painter of the Ring he's saying. That's the closest I can get to you. Other than that, I don't think this has any synergies. I mean, W Ryoshu and the Poise Ryoshu, they work with it, but they don't. It isn't perfect, right? It's either a little too burn or a little too raw. They're not hitting the golden spot of this E.G.O, but they still use it decently, I guess. The passive of this E.G.O is Dream Devouring, and on crit with a Pride's Infinity skill. Bizarre how specific that is. Gain 1 poise count, maximum 3 times per turn. For such a specific condition, a crit with a poise or a crit with a pride skill and gaining 1 poise count for a maximum of 3 times per turn honestly is a pretty bad passive, unless you're running like a mirror dungeon and you got like a bunch of poise E.G.O gifts. Then other than that option, this isn't necessarily the best passive in the world. But the passive is pretty bad, unlike the cost of this E.G.O, and it's going to cost you 20 sanity, right, the average, 2 gloom, 2 pride, and 2 envy, which is, I'd have to say, pretty decent, right? Usually pride and envy, I'm not using those too much, right? But gloom is one of the resources that you definitely want to have excess of. So I mean, I guess it's good that he uses it, right? A lot of people are going to be focusing on having at least a little bit of gloom generation. But your resistances are fatal to wrath, fatal to lust, and effective to pride. Man, that is not necessarily the best resistances. It could be good in some scenarios, but well, what more can you say? Let's look at the bright side of this E.G.O, which is the Corrosion. 30 base with a -12 roll, slash damage, and attack weight of 3 is not bad. It's pretty good, honestly. But before attack, you gain 4 poise and consume 2 charge count to gain 1 poise. You can do this the maximum of 10 times, so best case scenario, you're going to be gaining 14 poise. That's not half bad. But that's not all you gain, because at end of the turn, you gain +4 charge count for every unit that gets defeated by the skill. Could be good. It could be like, what, 4 + 4 + 4, that's 12. You could get 12 poise, that's not bad. But it could be, or charge, but you need a kill with this skill, which is, not necessarily the best conditional. But on hit, you gain plus poise count, and then on crit, you gain +10 poise, and you gain 30% extra critical damage. That's not bad. Really not bad. I gotta say, the Corrosion is probably the best part of this E.G.O. Passive is pretty mediocre. The resistances are not good. The price is alright, I suppose. And the Awakening, no. But I would definitely say you probably use this over Red Eyes, because, well, at least this has 1 more attack weight. But at least something else that has going for it is its drip being really pretty good. Honestly, on the Awakening, I like it quite a bit. And the Corrosion, I'm not the biggest fan of the Corrosion, but still pretty good, so give it a whopping like 7 for drip. For strength, I mean, it's a poise E.G.O, so you gotta give it a little bit more for that, but it doesn't do much to give you extra damage. It has a couple attack weight, right? The roll isn't that good. It's the same as its other Teth, being Red Eyes closed, so that's bizarre. Or maybe it was intentional, who knows, except this E.G.O has an extra attack weight at up tie 3, where Red Eyes doesn't. So realistically, this is just better in most case scenarios. Unless you're uptime both of them up tie 4, then probably use Red Eyes. But yeah, no, for strength, this is pretty low, right? Maybe like a 5, right? They can't give it much more. It doesn't do much. And usefulness of this E.G.O, realistically, I can see its use for W Corp Ryoshu. You want to use her, want to give her a little bit extra damage, a little bit more poise, you know, mirror dungeon stuff. Then yeah, go ahead and use it. It's pretty good for that. But for pretty much any other reason to use it, no, I wouldn't recommend it. It definitely doesn't have anything that rolls it in the Ryoshu Teth category, but, you know, still, I would want a little more from this E.G.O, considering the other one was Vob, and these were kind of the posters of Kanto 5. Although, you know, can't expect all that much from a Teth. So give it a whopping like 4 for usefulness, right? Not that useful. But that's what it is for this E.G.O. I'd have to say it's pretty mediocre. But if given all that, at least it's a little bit better than Red Eyes Ryoshu Red Eyes Closed. Only because it has an extra attack weight at up to 3. That's it. That's all. That's all it has going for it above the other one. So, I gotta say, pretty underwhelming E.G.O. But that's about it. Have a good one.